So I want to talk about one verse today, and it's probably one of the most powerful verses that is currently moving in my life from day to day, from parenting to my job as a school administrator. This verse does so much to shift my life. So let's get into the word together. It's Proverbs 15, verse 1. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Let's take that further and go into verse 2. The tongue of the wise commends knowledge, but the mouth of the fool gushes folly. Here's the thing. Our words are sharp, right? Our mouth, the scripture tells us, has the ability to give life or death. And that's the absolute truth. So in my career as a school administrator, I regularly have to go into situations where I'm speaking with students or with teachers or with parents that are often very challenging. And one of my favorite things to go into those conversations with is that verse. Here's the deal. I think of that verse in the whole idea of it as being able to de-escalate every situation. Whenever I come at someone with intense fire out of my mouth, then I imagine that kind of like a can of gasoline, right? So whenever I have a can of gasoline and that other person is already kind of on fire, right? They're burning a little bit, but I pour more fuel on that fire. What happens? It explodes. Now I have a bonfire in my hand that may turn into a forest fire, right? Yet if I come into those situations with a gentle word, with a gentle answer, then it changes everything. Instead of gasoline, I'm now bringing water into that conversation. And that fire that is within that person, right? The bitterness, the anger, the resentment, whatever it is in that situation is now going to be stifled because of the gentle answer that I'm bringing. Instead of gasoline, I'm bringing water to that. And so if I'm looking in terms of application as a parent, whenever my child does something, crazy, I have a 9-year-old son and he's wild. So whenever he does something crazy, well, it's really easy for me to be wrathful and angry and bitter. And every time I come at him in intensity like that, can you guess his response? If you guessed that he explodes like a bonfire, then the answer is yeah, that's exactly right. Because I brought more fuel to that fire. But whenever I come at him calmly, just as Christ comes at us, right? I am calm. I reprimand him, but I do that with a gentle word. His fire goes out and he understands. The same thing can be applied in our marriages. Whenever my wife and I are arguing, it's going to happen, whether it be finances or who's doing what with the kids today or all of the above, right? If I approach those conversations, those arguments with wrath, with bitterness and anger, well, then her fire is now exploding. I could have approached that a little bit different, right? And I would like to say that I always approach that differently, right? And I always go into my wife's, into our arguments, with just gentleness and kindness. And that's not always the case. But I do find myself backtracking and coming back with a gentle response. I'm sorry that I took it that far. So I do want to own that. Now, on the front end, whenever I go into those conversations calmly, thinking de-escalation, thinking don't bring gasoline to this fire, bring water, then life happens. And it's good. It's calm. And it's the way that Scripture tells us to live. It's really straightforward and simple, but we get in our way. way too often, right? We get angry, we get bitter, we get just frustrated. And then our fire starts to build. And then our own mind, we start pouring gasoline on ourselves, right? And before we know it, we're a forest fire. And our forest fire is spreading out to everyone. That doesn't work. Listen, scripture is so clear here. A gentle answer turns away wrath. If we're going to call ourselves wise, then we certainly better listen to what Proverbs 15:1 and 2 have to say. You guys have a blessed day.